The DNA test report for the newborn baby has been revealed by Jim Jones, and Chrissy Lampkin has broken down. It was a bright and sunny afternoon in New York City, and the streets were filled with the sounds of automobile horns, foot traffic, and a typical commotion. The streets were bustling with activity. Nevertheless, the atmosphere was very different inside the confines of a tranquil and elegant apartment in the Tribeca neighborhood. Inside, there was a palpable sense of expectation in the air. Jim Jones, a well-known rapper, businessman, and Harlem neighborhood figure, was seen walking around the living room in a pacing motion. He was holding his phone in his palm, and the expression on his face was a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Last but not least, the moment had finally arrived after years of rumors, misunderstanding, and scrutiny from the general public. He had been waiting for the results of the DNA test for a number of months, and he wasn't going to be doing it by himself this time. On the couch, Chrissy Lampkin, Jim's lifelong companion, was sat, and her face was a picture of strain due to the situation. The pair had been through a lot together, including rising to popularity, negotiating the hurdles of a high-profile relationship, and dealing with public turmoil that at times seemed to be unrelenting. However, this was a completely different thing. We were talking about their future here. When Jim looked over at Chrissy, who was nervously chewing her lip, he placed his phone on the coffee table and focused his attention on her. His voice was a little more shaky than he had intended it to be when he inquired, "Are you ready?" With a sigh, Chrissy bowed her head. "For a very long time, I've been anticipating the arrival of this day. On the other hand, I am not sure if I will ever be completely prepared for what it entails." The two looked at each other for a considerable amount of time before Jim took the DNA result and unfolded it. Under the dim lighting of the apartment, the white paper took on a glowing appearance, and the results were printed in bold and legible text. During the time that Jim was reading through the report, his hand began to shake slightly. He took a big breath and glanced at Chrissy, his face displaying a mixture of relief and concern. This occurred after what seemed like a lifetime had finally passed. Jimmy spoke softly and added, "Chrissy, it's done. The test results are in." With her heart pounding, Chrissy leaned against the wall. "And, you ask?" Jim took a brief pause, unsure of how to deliver the news to the audience. For the past 3 months, their relationship had been fraught with a great deal of uncertainty, and many concerns had been raised about whether or not Jim's child was genuinely his. Each of them had been subjected to a significant amount of emotional strain as a result of the persistent stream of rumors. On the other hand, here they were, standing on the brink of the discovery of the truth. The last thing that Jim said was, "It's mine, Chrissy. It's my property." After Chrissy had finished processing the words, there was a profound pause between them. She felt a wave of relief sweep over her, but at the same time she was experiencing a range of conflicting feelings. Chrissy had never had any reasonable doubts about Jim's dedication to their relationship. Nonetheless, the entire scenario had been more convoluted than either of them could have possibly thought it would be. She was a witness to Jim's experience of being subjected to a significant amount of public scrutiny and controversy. On the other hand, this one, the matter of paternity, had almost caused them to break. The tears began to well up in Chrissy's eyes as she whispered, "Jim, I am so happy for you because of this. I am aware of the hardships you have endured in order to arrive here, and I see how much this means to you. What exactly does this imply for us, though? Because of our family?" After putting the report on the table, Jim proceeded to sit next to Chrissy and continued to read it. He took her hand in his and softly held it. "It's not true, Chrissy. I'm not going away. I am present. Together, we are present here. Having this baby and having this family is exactly what I desire." A proclamation of love, a promise that had been building up for a very long time, it was finally made. Jim had finally come to terms with the seriousness of his feelings for Chrissy and the life that they had created together, despite the fact that their relationship had been like a roller coaster. Despite the tears that were now running down her face, Chrissy gazed towards him. "You have no idea how much I needed to hear that, Jim, just hear it. I've been quite terrified, not only for myself but also for the future of our family. I didn't know where this was headed, what it would imply for us, but hearing that from you," she trailed off, squeezing his hand, "I'm ready. I'm ready for us to move forward. We will confront whatever comes after this together, no matter what." Jim nodded, his eyes becoming more gentle. The reason he pulled Chrissy into a close embrace was not simply for the purpose of consolation, rather it was out of profound gratitude for her unflinching support. They had been contending with the challenges of public life for such a considerable amount of time, and now they had their very own bit of bliss to cling to. The few weeks that followed were frenzy. When the results of Jim's paternity test were made public, the news media and social media were ablaze with excitement. It was the typical questions that were asked, such as whether or not the report was genuine, whether or not Jim had taken the examination seriously, and what the repercussions of the results were. But Jim and Chrissy didn't care about the noise. They were focused on their future, on having parents, on growing their family, and on making a legacy together. Though the controversy had been taxing, it also brought them closer. Jim realized that he was privileged to have Chrissy by his side, and she recognized that the experience they had gone through was something that would link them for life. The following chapter focused on their child, their love for one another, and the dreams that they both had in common. On one particular evening, when the media frenzy had subsided to some degree, Jim and Chrissy were seated together on the balcony of their apartment, which overlooked the skyline of the city on the other side. Despite the fact that the city below was buzzing with activity, and the sky was painted with shades of orange and purple, they were able to experience a moment of harmony. "Do you ever think about what kind of parents we're going to be?" Chrissy asked, her voice low and thoughtful. Jim let out a soft chuckle. "I believe that everything will work out perfectly for us. We've been through a lot, but we've never wavered in our commitment to one another. We are able to handle this." A smile appeared on Chrissy's face as she experienced the weight of everything they had conquered and the excitement of everything that lay ahead. By resting her head on Jim's shoulder, she had the opportunity to give herself a brief moment of comfort. The response she gave was, "Yeah, we've got this." A few months later, when the news of their newborn baby began to spread over social media, Jim and Chrissy were no longer just a power couple in the entertainment industry. They had become a family. And the story of their relationship, which was full of both highs and lows, had become a symbol of love and perseverance. Their connection only became stronger over the course of the years that followed. After the whispers died down and the drama became a distant memory, the only thing that remained was a love that had survived the storm. Both Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin had confronted their personal demons, navigated their way through the flames, and emerged from the experience more powerful than before. They had produced something that was not only beautiful but also genuine. Now that they had reached this point, they were prepared to move on to the next stage of their lives, confident that they would confront whatever challenges arose as a family unit. When all was said and done, that was the only thing that counted.